Alright, so moving to the next slide, which is based on the comb. So the comb is the house of a bee colony, means that wherever the bee population, means along with the queen, drone and the workers, so all this population where it is living in that particular area or that colony, it is called as the comb. Now this comb, all of you know that it is constructed on the trees or in holes or on the roof of the buildings, rocks and so on. Means wherever they will they will find the suitable place and the protected place. At that place they will construct this comb. It is made up of wax which is secreted by the workers. Then each comb has thousands of hexagonal cells which are arranged in two vertical rows. Means from the two side, this comb contains the number of, that is, thousands of hexagonal cells, and these cells, nothing but it is used for the storage of honey, as well as the queen will lay the eggs inside that cell. So there in this comb there are actually 5 types of the cells are present, though it is given here that there are 4 types, but actually we will observe that there are 5 types of the cells are present. So one by one we will learn about these cells. So first one, that is storage cells. This one, that is storage cell. So the name itself indicates that these cells are used to store the honey and pollen. Then the next one, that is brood cells. So these cells, that is brood cells, which contains the young ones. Why it contains the young ones? Because the queen will lay her eggs within these brood cells. Next one, that is worker cells. So already in previous slide we have seen that there are some cells which are also called as the worker cells, in which the workers are reared. Then next one, that is drone cells. So obviously these drone cells are used for the rearing of males or the drones. And next and last, that is queen cells. So these queen cells are larger in size, vase shaped. Within that, royal jelly will be stored by the workers. So in this way there are 5 types of the total 5 types of the cells are present within a hive. Then about the beehive. Honeybee is one of the few domesticated insects, because insects generally they cannot be domesticated by the human beings or the humans, but the honeybee is one of the few domesticated insects. So in modern days, bee colonies are reared in artificial wooden boxes for maximum production of honey and wax. Okay, in modern days the bee colonies, because in previous point we have seen that honeybee is one of the insect which can be easily domesticated. So again, in some certain examples you will observe that nowadays that these colonies of the honeybee, they are reared in artificial wooden boxes, and these wooden boxes will be used for the production of honey and wax. This official or box, or this artificial wooden box where the bee colony is maintained and managed, is called as the hive. Then the place where the hives are kept and managed is called as the either apiary or the bee yard. The place where we are going to place these hives or these boxes, it is known as the apiary or the bee yard. Now there are different models of the hive, but most common model is Newton's hive, which is designed by the Newton. Then the hive is in form of the wooden stand, which is shown in this figure. If you see carefully, now see that these are the wooden boxes which are also called as the hive. So these are there are 5 hives are there, and these hives or these wooden boxes will be used for the production of honey and wax. You will see the points related with this hive. So see here that the hive has 2 chambers. Okay, so whatever the hives are there, these hive, particularly this hive, they having the, you will observe they having the different chambers. Okay, So these wooden chambers which are placed over the one another. Okay, so it is important here that this hive has the two chambers. So one is the upper chamber and another is the lower chamber. The upper chamber is called super or honey chamber, means it is the chamber, that is upper chamber, which is also called as the super or the honey chamber. From the chamber we are going to get the, or we will receive the honey. Then the lower chamber is called as the brood chamber, where the queen will lay her eggs and from which the young ones will be come out. So again I repeat that this hive has the two chambers, upper chamber and the lower chamber. Upper chamber is called as the super or the honey chamber and lower chamber is called as the brood chamber. Then the queen is kept in brood chamber. So where is the brood chamber? Brood chamber is at the lower area or the lower chamber. So queen is kept in the brood chamber. Now these two chambers, means upper chamber and the lower chamber, these two chambers are separated by a wire grid called as the queen excluder. So in between these two chambers, one hole will be kept, nothing but for which purpose? For the moving of that workers. Okay, but actually that hole or that path contains the wire grid, and wire grid nothing but which will allow only two workers, because workers are smaller in size but the queen is larger in size. That's why queen will not move from lower chamber to upper chamber, but workers will move from upper chamber to the lower chamber and from lower chamber to the upper chamber. Okay, so the hole in queen excluder are so smaller that they prevent the entry of what? Queen into the super chamber or the upper chamber, but it will allow the other bees, that is workers, to pass through that particular hole. As a result, what will happen? That as a result, eggs are laid only in brood chamber, that is lower chamber. Why lower chamber? Because we have seen here that the queen is only present in a lower chamber. Now the super chamber is meant for the storing of honey, means here in this particular super chamber, that the super chamber will only contain the honey. Why? Because the workers are making the wax, particular their nest which is made from the wax, and the workers will store honey within that cells. Okay, but queen will not lay her eggs within that particular super chamber. Then the next point is that the brood chamber is placed on bottom board and the board extends forward as an alighting board on which the bees rest for some time before entering the hive. Okay, so what I said here, that this board extends forwards as an alighting board on which the bees rest for some time before entering the hive. Okay, so one part which is extending forward as a alighting board on which these workers, will see here, this one, particularly this part or this part, this is the extended part. So where the workers will rest for some time before entering or before going outside from that hive. Then the brood chamber has an entrance through which the bees enter. Moving to the next one, that the super chamber has a ventilator. Okay, so super means what? It is the super chamber means what? It is the upper chamber. So the super chamber, that is upper chamber, has a ventilator. And what is the purpose of this ventilator? Nothing but passage of the air will be maintained. Okay, so to make that chamber airy. Okay, then the super chamber is covered over by a roof. We have already seen within that particular diagram where I was showing that hive. So on the uppermost part, you might have seen or observed that the roof was present over that super chamber, and both these chambers contain about 7 rectangular wooden frames called as the comb frames which are arranged vertically. Then these vertical frames are filled with a comb foundation sheet. Okay, so whatever the vertical frames are there, these vertical frames are present or they are arranged in a particular vertical direction, and their number will be what? It will be the 7 rectangular wooden frames, and these vertical wooden frames, they are filled with a comb foundation sheet. Why this comb foundation sheet was provided here? Because over this sheet the workers will make their waxy hive or that particular cells or hexagonal cells. Now these sheets are made up of wax and contain hexagonal imprints. They are detachable. It means that these whatever the sheets are there, these sheets can be detached and they are available in market also. A set of bees with a queen is introduced within into the hive. Okay, so a set of bees means along with a queen, the workers, these will be introduced within the hive, and this worker construct the comb in the vertical frames starting from the comb foundation sheets. Then honey is collected in the combs of super chamber, and the eggs, larvae and young ones are kept in the combs of the brood chamber. We already discussed about this, that there are two chambers, uppermost that is super chamber or the honey chamber, and the lowermost that is brood chamber. Okay, so and between these there is a small hole which contains the wire mesh through which that worker will easily move from brood chamber to the honey chamber, but queen will not be easily passed. That queen will lay her eggs within the brood chamber, and the uppermost chamber, that is super chamber or the honey chamber, which will contain the honey only, not the young ones. So here in this way we can get the pure honey without disturbing or without harming their young ones or their eggs. Okay, so coming to the next one, that when all cells are filled with honey, the cells are capped or closed by a thin layer of wax. So after sealing or after capping these cells, we will move these frames, the wooden frames which is filled by the honey, and after that we will separate that honey for our own purpose. So for this separation, the process which is called as the honey extraction. Okay, honey is stored, already I have discussed about this point, that honey is stored in combs of super frames. Then it is extracted from the comb by a simple machine, and that machine is called as the honey extractor. Then it has a drum. In next slide we are going to study about this honey extractor also. So it has a drum containing a rack inside to hold the super frames. Okay, so this honey extractor, actually it is a drum, a big size drum which contain the rack inside, which is used or which will hold the super frames or that wooden frames, and that wooden frames which contains the what? Which contains the wax. Now it is made to rotate by a set of 2 gear wheels operated by a handle. Okay, so just see whatever the points I am discussing here. After that you will get clear idea how this honey extractor will work or how we will get the honey. So what I said here, that it is a drum like structure and which contains the rack, and that rack will be used to hold the wooden frames or the super frames. Okay, and again it having the 2 gears, and again it contains the wheels, it contains the handle, and that handle we have to rotate by our hand. Then the super frames are removed from the hive. If we want to remove the honey, then first of all we have to remove the super frames from the super chambers. Then the tips of the caps are cut off by a double-edged knife. So we have to use one knife, and that knife we will use to uncap or to remove the caps which are sealed. These caps, actually, that the hexagonal cells which are filled by the honey, that worker will seal that caps. So we have to remove these caps, that waxy caps. So what will happen, that this hexagonal cell will open and the honey will be released from these cells. And how we will carry out this honey extraction, we will see in next slide. See, that this is the honey extractor. So you will observe that this is the what? This is the a drum like structure or small drum, and this is the handle. We have to rotate it with a particular speed, and again this is the rack which will used to contain or to hold the wooden frame. So what you have to do, that we have to place the wooden rack within this wooden frames within this rack, and after that we have to move this handle. Okay, we have to move this handle. So what will happen, that because of the force they will move in a circular direction. Okay, these racks, these frames will move in a circular direction, and the honey will be collected with the help of this tap. Okay, so honey will be removed or released from this area. So in this way it will work. See here that then the frames are fixed in a rack, and the rack is made to rotate by operating the handle. Then the honey is forced out into the drum from the comb cells, and after that from the drum honey is collected in a vessels through an exit present in that particular drum. Now coming to the very important point about the honey, that its chemical composition. So here that the honey contains nearly 80 different substances of importance to human beings. Honey contains near about 80 different substances, and which are very much important to the human beings. So it contains large amount of glucose and fructose. That's why this honey is very popular within the human beings, because it is very sweet in taste. And why it is sweet in taste? Because it contains large amount of glucose and fructose. Apart from this, it contains proteins as well as fats also, but their amount is very lower in concentration or lower in amount. Then vitamins present in honey are A, B1, B2, B3, B6, vitamin C, vitamin E, and vitamin K. So all these vitamins are very important for our body. So these vitamins are present in honey. Then moving to the next slide. Now enzymes such as distase, invertase, saccharase, catalase, peroxidases, and lipases, all these different enzymes, they are also present in that honey, and it contains many organic acids such as formic acid, malic acid, citric acid, tartaric acid, and oxalic acid. Apart from this, honey contains number of minerals also. All these minerals and enzymes, then other organic acids, then vitamins, apart from this carbohydrate are also present within this honey. That's why the honey having much more value, okay, or much more importance. So why it is valuable? Because it is used as a sweetener. Okay, so many of the industries, they use the honey as a sweetener. Then it has high calorific value. Near about 1 kilogram has the 3,350 calories, because it contains the much more amount of the glucose and fructose. That's why it shows the high calorific value. It contains biogenic stimulator or tissue culture, within a tissue culture. Okay, what is meant by biogenic stimulator? Because this honey will help to generate the new cells. Okay, that's why during the tissue culture it is used as a biogenic stimulator. Then it is used to heal wounds also, because this honey will be used by the particular body to heal their wounds. And again, it is used as a good tonic for ulcers also. Okay, so whatever the intestinal damage, or that is nothing but it is the ulcer. So to heal this ulcer, we use the honey. Again, it facilitates digestion and improves appetite also. The person who is suffering from the loss of appetite, again that person is treated with the honey, because the honey helps in digestion and it improves the appetite. Apart from this, it prevents running nose and sure remedy for cold and cough. So from the ancient time, the Indians and in other area also, the human beings or the humans, they are using the honey to treat the cold and cough. The next one is that honey used as a medicine for children to treat complaints of the liver. If there is a liver problem is occurring in a children, in that case or at that time, honey will be used as a medicine. And again, the last one is that the honey is good for kidney patient. Okay. Now moving to the next. About the bee venom. So not only honey is used by the humans, but bee venom is used by the humans for the various purpose. So one by one we will learn about this. Bee venom is secreted by poison glands of these stings. We have already seen that this bee venom is actually secreted by the poison gland of the poison apparatus of the sting. Now bee venom is curative toxin in humans. Okay, so it acts as a curative toxin. It is transparent and it has a bitter burning taste. It is acidic in nature. And this bee venom contains the formic acid, histamine, tryptophan, sulfur and many proteins, volatile oils. So obviously this histamine and formic acid, they will, when they enters within our body or within our skin at the time, they make one immunogenic response. Okay. Then the next one, that is enzymes. Bee venom contains the hyaluronidase and phospholipase. Again, bee venom is used to cure skin diseases like tuberculosis of skin, and cholesterol level in blood fails by the treatment. So if the person who having the more cholesterol level, so at that time this cholesterol level in the blood, it will be reduced or fall by the treatment of bee venom. Then bee venom controls blood pressure also. So it was all about the apiculture.